Good morning, everyone. I hope everybody is safe at home. Stay safe and stay healthy. Today, I will start our session with a small incident. There is a student named Raju who was playing at home. And suddenly, he was fell down. He was carried to hospital, and doctor tested him and advised that he was having some deficiency of iron and calcium. Raju was surprised. He was first time listening those words. What are all these iron and calcium? He was very much confused that whether the iron present in our body is that the same that is present in the iron nails and all the machinery parts. He was confused, and later he was discharged from the hospital and went to his teacher. The teacher replied for his question that the iron present in our body is the same that is present in the materials like iron nails and machinery. So, this is all the same. These iron and calcium were called as elements. So, let us start our session about the elements, atoms and molecules. A physicist is just an atom's way of looking at itself. It means that we ourselves is made up of bunch of atoms. This is the famous quote given by the scientist Niels Bohr, that it means that atoms are trying to learn about themselves. Our body is entirely filled with millions of atoms, which is trying to know about the atoms. I and you, everybody, every human being is made up of a lot of atoms. So, let us try to know how our body is filled, what are the atoms and molecules. Let us start. In the year 400 BC, the scientist named Democritus tried to explain about the concept of atom. He was the first scientist to explain the concept of atom. He took an apple and tried to cut into small pieces in such a way that this small piece of an apple cannot be cut further. This small piece of an atom, he named it as an atomos. In Greek, atomos meaning uncuttable. He used the word atomos, which is a Greek word which means uncuttable. He thought that every matter consists of these kind of smallest particle which are called atoms. So, later this word atomos is named as atoms, but this theory has failed to explain all the properties of atoms. That is why the people rejected this theory. Later in the 1800th century, in the year 1808, the scientist named John Dalton tried to explain about the atoms. He was very much interested in quantities of chemical reactions. He did the experiments with the compounds like carbon and oxygen. So, carbon and oxygen can able to form multiple types of compounds. When 1 gram of carbon is reacted with 1.3 grams of oxygen, it is produced carbon monoxide, whereas 1 gram of carbon, when it is reacted with 2.3 grams of oxygen, that means the amount of oxygen is doubled, then it could able to produce carbon dioxide. So, with this theory, with this chemical reaction, he could able to identify that these oxygen atoms are, when these oxygen atoms are doubled, the amount of oxygen present in the product is also doubled. That means oxygen is behaving like an independent species. So, such an independent particle of matter he named as atom. So, atoms are existing independently. According to Dalton, he thought that atoms are tiniest particles present in the matter, and these particles, atomic particles of same element, for example hydrogen atoms. When we consider two hydrogen atoms, they appear same, they were same in size, same in appearance, and in every way, same in weight, in every aspect it will be same, but they differs from other atoms like oxygen, nitrogen and so on. That means similar kind of atoms will appear similar, they behave similar, and they differs from other atoms. All atoms will combine in a fixed ratios, in fixed proportions and forms compounds. For example, here we can consider H2O. H2O is commonly known as water. This water contains hydrogen and oxygen atoms in 2:1 ratio. So this ratio is fixed to form water molecule. We cannot call 2:1 ratio of hydrogen and oxygen with other name. So the name of the compounds were fixed with fixed proportions. So atoms will combine in a fixed proportions and forms compounds, and these atoms, when they rearranged, they can able to perform chemical reaction. The rearrangement of these atoms is called as chemical reaction. Okay, so these are all the main important features given by the scientist John Dalton, which is famously known as Dalton's atomic theory. He also tried to explain the pictures of elements in his famous book called A New System of Chemical Philosophy. He has sketched all the drawings of elements, and surprisingly many years later, that is about 200 years later, it is found absolutely correct. When the scientists scanned these atoms with a scanning tunneling microscope, it is found that the pictures drawn by John Dalton was absolutely correct. So this is about the introduction part of atoms and molecules and the proposals given by different scientists. Now let us try to differentiate these words. What are atoms, what are molecules, and what are elements and compounds? Let us start with the tiniest particle of matter, that is atoms. We know that atom is the fundamental particle of matter, atom is the smallest particle of matter. Now we have only 92 kinds of atoms present in the universe. These 92 kinds of atoms can able to form millions of species, whether it may be a living species or non-living material. Everything is made up of these atoms, starting from microorganisms to a big star, or the very famous coronavirus to cosmos. Everything is made up of these smallest particle of matter, that is atoms. Atoms are the independently existing particles of the matter which can able to build entire world, entire universe. So atoms are electrically neutral, and if we consider the size of the atoms, if we compare the size of the atoms with others, just let us compare this size of the atoms with very famous coronavirus. Now the size of the bacteria is about 10 power minus 6 meters, that is the microorganism. 10 power minus 6 means it is micrometer, that is why these bacteria and others are called as microorganisms. When we compare the size of bacteria with the size of coronavirus, it will be around 10 power minus 7 meters. The size of the coronavirus is 10 power minus 7 meters. But now, if you compare the size of the atom is about 10 power minus 10 meters. That is very smaller than the coronavirus and bacteria. So here even the coronavirus is made up of smallest particle. The things present inside the coronavirus, that is DNA, RNA, and the matter present inside the coronavirus is also made up of smallest particle of matter, that is atoms. So you can fix that the atoms are the building blocks of any matter in the world. Entire world is made up of smallest particle of matter, that is atoms. Now let us move to elements. These elements are also similar to atoms. If any matter is existing independently in singles, they were called as atoms. When they are present in a large number, we call them as elements. Elements are nothing but the atoms, but a group of atoms, we call them as elements. Okay. For example, let us take the lightest element in the entire universe, that is hydrogen. Hydrogen is an element which is present about 75% on the surface of the sun. All the stars are completely filled with the hydrogen. And second element is helium. Helium is very famous in balloons. Balloons are filled with helium, the second lightest element. The balloons are not filled with the hydrogen because hydrogen is more explosive in nature. That is why most of the times we fill the balloons with the helium. Helium is an element which is mostly used to fill the balloons. Okay. The third one is lithium. These are all examples of different kinds of elements. Lithium is mainly used in lithium ion batteries. Nowadays you are mostly loving the electronic gadgets like mobiles and laptops. So this lithium is used in producing the lithium ion batteries. Okay. And beryllium is used in emeralds and stones and gems. Boron is used in making borax powder. Next element is carbon. The carbon is the most used element in our human beings or any organism. So that is why in the name of carbon there is a separate topic called organic chemistry. Carbon has very wide applications in our day-to-day life. Carbon, most of the living organisms are made up of carbon in the form of biomolecules like carbohydrates, amino acids and all those. Nitrogen. So this nitrogen is a major element present in the atmosphere. Almost all our planet is completely covered with the nitrogen gas. About 71% of atmosphere is filled with the nitrogen gas. That is why most of the times our planet is called as nitrogen planet. Next one is oxygen. Oxygen is a living gas. We have to inhale the oxygen to live with a good health. So oxygen is mostly used in living organisms and it is given by the plants. Fluorine. Fluorine is used in many chemical reactions indirectly. Neon. Neon is the lightest inert gas. Inertness means it does not react with anybody. So this is the most lightest stable element. Helium is the most lightest, but even neon is the most inert element in the nature. So, these are all the examples of elements: hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, neon. So, like this we have number of elements which have wide applications. Even we can take the examples of sodium, which is present in our body cells, magnesium mostly used in the firecrackers, and aluminum is used in food packing material. When you go to a tiffin center or any restaurant, they will pack all the food in the iron, the silver colored iron papers. So, aluminum used like that. Next, silicon. Silicon is an element which is mostly abundant on the earth's surface in the form of silica, that is sand. Even silicon is very famous in IT industry, because all the semiconductor devices, the memory devices like pen drive and flash cards, everything is made up of silicon material. Even in America, there is a place named Silicon Valley which is famous for these IT products and IT kind of products. So, phosphorus, later phosphorus is also mostly used in matchsticks, and in our body also phosphorus is present. And later sulfur is used as antiseptic agent. It is used in antibiotics, some medicines, preparation of medicines. Later let us go to one more element, that is chlorine. Chlorine is a disinfecting element. Like that we can take n number of elements. These are the basic elements which we can study. So, we know that there are only 92 kinds of atoms present in the nature, which are called as natural elements. Elements are two kinds: natural elements and man-made elements. Only 92 elements are natural, starting from hydrogen to uranium. So, we have total 118 element discovered, which are present in the elements chart, which is generally called as periodic table. So, out of 118 elements, only 92 elements are natural, which can able to form entire universe. The remaining elements are made by a man. Now, let us try to know how to write the symbols of these elements. We know that we have number of elements, then it is very difficult to write always the names of the elements, and when we are representing any chemical reaction, it is difficult to represent in the form of words. We have to fill millions of books if we are writing like that. To avoid that confusion, the scientist has given a short notation for writing an element. That short notation of an element is called as symbol. Now, we have certain rules framed by a group of scientists, that is IUPAC. IUPAC is a group of scientists, that is I stands for international, U stands for union, P stands for pure, A stands for applied, C stands for chemistry. International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry, which is an organization which consists of a group of scientists. They were framed certain rules to write the symbols of the elements. Let us take these rules. First of all, every element must be written with a first letter as capital letter. Let us take an example. Calcium. Calcium is written as capital C and small a. It cannot be written small c and small a. like that. So this is a wrong notation and this is a right rotation. First letter must be a capitalized letter. It must be a capital letter. And second rule is, if there are more than one letter in an element, the second letter must be in lower case, that means small letter. For example, copper. Copper is written as Cu. So first letter is capital letter and second letter must be small letter or it is in lower case. There are no element with more than two letters. Scientists have decided that there should not be any element more than two letters. They were fixed in such a way that each and every element must be fixed in only two letters. Now let us move forward. Next, there are elements, certain elements with names of scientists, names of geographical places from where they have discovered. For example, we can take polonium and nobelium. So polonium is named after the place, that is the country name Poland, and nobelium is named after the scientist Alfred Nobel. So in the honor of Sir Alfred Nobel, they were named it as nobelium. Not only these two, many elements like moscovium, named after the place Moscow, which is present in Russia, and fermium. Okay, so like this, many elements were named after geographical places, region, and name of the scientists. So these are the rules to write the elements, and some elements have different names. If we observe the name of copper, here we are not writing CO or Ca, but we are writing Cu. So you may be confused that why we are writing Cu. It is because we have certain elements have their Latin roots. These Latin roots were considered while naming the element and while writing the symbol of the element. There are certain examples like copper, name of the element, Latin name, symbol. Let us take gold. Gold is not written as G. The symbol of the gold is not a G. It is written as AU. AU means it is derived from the Latin name aurum. Aurum means the rising sun. Rising sun appears in golden yellow color. That is why those people have named it as aurum. So in the initial days, everybody is calling gold as aurum. That is why this name has been fixed. Let us take copper. Copper is derived from the name cuprum. Latin name is cuprum. So like this we have a number of examples. Iron is named after ferrum. Lead is named as plumbum, Pb. Mercury is given as symbol Hg because its Latin name is hydrorgium. Silver is argentum. Sodium is natrium, and potassium symbol is K because its Latin name is kalium. So like this, many elements were given names based on their Latin roots. So this is all about the naming of the symbols and rules for writing the name of the symbols. I hope everybody understood this. Next one, when we are writing the elements, we know that elements are nothing but multiple number of atoms grouped together. For example, if you consider hydrogen element, it always exists in H2 form. That means two hydrogens will join together and makes a molecule. Generally, group of atoms we call it as molecules. If they were formed with only one kind of atoms, we call them as molecules of elements. If they were formed with different kinds of elements, we call them as compounds. Now, here in hydrogen molecule of element, we have two hydrogen atoms. If you consider nitrogen will have N triple bond N. That means in nitrogen also we have two nitrogen atoms. Oxygen, two oxygen atoms. Phosphorus is always present, 4 atoms together. Sulfur, 8 atoms together. Just it will present like a crown. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, sulfur element will present like a crown like structure. So, this is an elemental form of sulfur. So, the number of atoms present in element is generally called as atomicity. We use a word atomicity for this. That is, atomicity of hydrogen is 2, because there are 2 hydrogens in hydrogen molecule. Atomicity of nitrogen is 2. Atomicity of oxygen is 2. Atomicity of phosphorus is 4. So, atomicity of sulfur is 8. So, here generally atomicity is named as monoatomic if only one atom is present, diatomic if 2 atoms are present, tetraatomic if 4 atoms are present like phosphorus, polyatomic if it is exceeded the number more than 5. So, oxygen is you can see the oxygen atom, there are 2 oxygens, that is why oxygen is diatomic. Now, let us go to next topic, that is molecules of compounds. Earlier we studied about the molecules, these are all molecules of elements, because they were formed with only one kind of atoms. If the molecule is formed with different kinds of atoms, then they were called as compounds. Examples of compounds: every day you are using water. Water is made up of 2 kinds of atoms. First one is hydrogen, second one is oxygen. So, these 2 kinds of atoms were grouped together and it is making a compound named water. You can take any example: water, carbon dioxide, sodium chloride. Generally we eat the food by adding the salt to our food. So, salt becomes tasty. Without salt, the food does not become taste. That is why everybody using this sodium chloride in our food material. Sodium chloride is a compound which is made from 2 kinds of atom. One is sodium, another is chlorine atom. Okay. So, this is about the molecules of compounds. Now, let us move forward. What is there inside atom? So, we know already what is compound, what is molecule, what is atom. But now, let us know about what is there inside the atom. So, atom is not a singly existing, it also contains some smallest particles. They were called as subatomic particles. If you observe the picture here, this picture is known as Crookes tube. It is a glass tube in which the air is taken out and vacuum is created, and there were 2 metal plates which were fixed and connected to, these 2 metal plates were connected to a battery to create the electric potential. So, William Crookes has discovered this tube, that is why it is named after, as Crookes tube. He discovered the cathode rays using this tube. Later, the scientist named J.J. Thomson used this Crookes tube to discover the smallest particle of the matter. When he was searching, he was doing the research on the properties of cathode rays, he found that there is a particle which is smaller than the size of the atom and smaller than the weight of the atom. So, he tried to discover the properties of those particles using this Crookes tube. In his experiment, he tried to apply the electric field, that is positive and negative charge fields, perpendicular to the direction of the cathode rays. Then he found that these particles are more attracted towards the positive charge and they were reflected by the negative charge. This is happened because we know the principle of attraction of charges. Like charges will repel each other, whereas unlike charges will attract each other. We already know this. The same way here, J.J. Thomson found that these cathode rays are attracting towards the positive charge. That means these cathode rays may be having the negative charge because they were attracted by the positive terminal and they were also rejected by the negative charge. That is why he found that these cathode rays consist of negative charge and he named it as electron. So, in this way, the first subatomic particle which is present inside the atom is discovered by J.J. Thomson. He also said that it consists of the charge minus 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 coulombs. The C indicates the units of the charge, that is coulombs. And it is also found that it has the mass of 9.3 into 10 to the power of minus 31 kilograms. So, these kilograms are the units of weights. So, in this way he discovered the electron, which is one of these subatomic particle. It is also found that these electrons are the particles which can pass through the wires and tubes. So, these electrons has many applications. All the electronic devices depends on the flow of electrons. When there is a flow of electron, we can observe the signals, we can receive the electricity, we can use the gadgets. Everything is based on the movement of the smallest particle present in the matter, that is electron. After this, the scientist named Rutherford, who is the student of J.J. Thomson. Actually, many students of J.J. Thomson were the Nobel laureates. One of the students is Rutherford. Rutherford tried to observe the properties of atoms by using a gold foil. A gold foil is a metal plate made up of gold. He took a gold foil which consists of all the gold particles. He tried to project the alpha rays onto this gold foil. Alpha rays. So, alpha rays, you know that alpha rays consists of positive charge. He tried to project these alpha particles onto the gold plate which consists of gold atoms. In his observation, he found that many of these alpha rays were passed through the gold plate undeflected, without any deviation, without any deflection. All these rays are passed through the gold foil, and very small number of rays were scattered and very few were turned back with 180 degrees. With this experiment is famously known as alpha ray scattering experiment. Alpha ray scattering experiment. With this experiment, Rutherford concluded that the entire atom has lot of empty space because most of the rays are undeflected. That is why he concluded that the atoms of gold particles or any other particles has most of the empty space, and some were deflected because there is a small amount of particles present inside the atom, that is in the center of the atom. He named that part of the atom as nucleus, and he also discovered that these were deflected, these alpha rays were deflected due to the same kind of charge located inside the nucleus. That means we already know that like charges will repel each other. The same principle is used by the scientist Rutherford to discover this. When positive charge particles are projected on this gold foil, they were reflected because the presence of positive charge inside the atom, that is exactly in the center of the atom. That is why he thought that there is a presence of positive charge particle inside the atom. He named it as proton. Proton is the second discovered particle of matter, subatomic particle of matter, which consists of positive charge. The speciality of proton is the proton will decide the kind of atom it belongs to. That means if one positive charge present inside an atom, it will be named as hydrogen. If two positive charges are present inside an atom, we call it as helium. If three positive charges are present inside, we call it as lithium. That means the identity of an atom will be given by the number of protons. If number of protons differs, the entire name of the atom differs. If in place of one positive charge, if we place one more positive charge, it will not be hydrogen. It is no more hydrogen. We call it as helium. So that means the number of protons present inside an atom gives the identity. Okay. So this is the speciality of proton, and these were found that they were present in the nucleus. And the third subatomic particle discovered was neutron. This is discovered by the scientist James Chadwick. He also used a discharge tube to discover this. When he was doing the experiments on the radioactive species, he found that there are certain particles which were not deflected by either electric field or magnetic field. When he tried to apply the electric field, these particles are not deflected, they were going straight without any deflection. Even he applied the magnetic field also, these particles are not deflected. So with this he concluded that these particles does not have any charge, either positive charge or negative charge, and that is why he thought that these particles are neutral in nature and there is no charge for this particle. These particles are also found that these are having mass equivalent to protons, and that is why he thought that the neutrons are neutral in nature and their mass equal to protons. So, these are the three kinds of subatomic particles discovered by different scientists. Now, let us move to the next topic, that is atomic number and mass number. We already know that we can write symbol of carbon as C. Now, atomic number is nothing but number of protons present inside an atom. If we consider carbon atom, inside a carbon atom there are 6 protons. To neutralize this, there will be 6 electrons also. We found that every atom is neutral in nature, that is why an atom consists of 6 positive charge, atom of carbon consists of 6 positive charges and 6 negative charges. Now, this number, either proton number or electron number, is written as a subscript to the symbol of the element, which is called as atomic number. Atomic number is represented with the letter Z. Now, second one is mass number. Mass number is nothing but number of protons plus neutrons present inside an atom. Generally, mass number is indicated with the letter A. So, this is the notation of writing a symbol. Every symbol consists of these two things. One is atomic number and mass number. We already know that these two were present inside the nucleus. According to the modern concept of atomic models, every atom consists of two parts, that is nucleus and cloud of electron. This nucleus consists of two kinds of particles, that is protons and neutrons, whereas electrons are revolving around the nucleus, and atom is found to be neutral because the charge of protons is equal to charge of electrons present outside the nucleus. When you compare the sizes of these nucleus and atom, the nucleus size will be like a butterfly sitting inside a big cricket stadium. How much difference it will be? A small bee like butterfly will have a very, very, very tiny size when compared with the size of the entire cricket stadium. So, this is about the nucleus and the importance of the subatomic particles. Now, let us move forward. Here we already know that proton number decides what kind of atom it is, whether it is carbon or nitrogen or oxygen will be decided by the number of protons inside an atom. Electron number decides how it reacts with others. That means chemical reaction will happen based on the number of electrons present inside an atom. The third one is neutrons. The third particle of matter, that is neutrons. Neutrons will decide what is an isotope. That means in nature generally element does not present in one form. instead of one form they will present in 2 to 3 forms with different mass numbers. For example, carbon is present as carbon 612, carbon 613, carbon 614. That means with the same atomic number and different mass number. So this kind of species which have same atomic number but different mass number are called as isotopes. Isotopes have much importance, like carbon dating, the age of a rock, age of a plant can be decided by these isotopes, like C14, carbon 14 isotope is used in determining the age of the species. Next one, C60, CO60, cobalt 60 is used in treatment of cancer. Like this, isotopes have many applications in medicine as well as in industry. Now let us go, we already seen that atoms consist of nucleus and cloud of electrons, and they have the importance like this. Protons will decide what kind it is, electrons will decide the reactivity of the atom, neutrons will decide the isotope. Now let us move to the concept of atom and ion. What is the basic difference between the atom and ion? Now, for example, let us take sodium atom. Sodium atom has atomic number 11. That means it has 11 positive charges and 11 negative charges. Because let us try to draw the sodium atom. 11 positive charges and 11 electrons which are present inside the around the nucleus. When these number is equal, electron number and proton number is equal, the forces were equal, electrostatic forces were equal, and that is why the atom is said to be neutral in nature. But sometimes when they want to become more stable by obtaining certain numbers like 2 electron number, 10 electron number, 18 electron number, 36 electron number, or 54 electron number, or 86 electron number, these are the magical numbers with which the every atom or element becomes stable by obtaining these number of electrons. That is why even sodium atom will try to obtain one of the possible number of electrons. Here you can see sodium has 11 electrons, but we know that there is stable electron number. That is why sodium tried to lose one of the electron and it becomes an element with 11 positive charges and 10 negative charges. Now it becomes instability of charge. The excess amount of charge which is present on the atom is written like this, Na plus 1. It means that one positive charge is more in the sodium when it loses one electron. This is called as ion. Ion is nothing but when there is a charge, when charge is not balanced in atom, that is called an ion. Ions are basically two kinds, cation and anion. You can see that when electron is lost by an atom, it is producing cation. That means the positive charges are greater than the negative charges. Sometimes the elements like chlorine, which has 17 positive charges and 17 negative charges, will try to gain one electron because the magic number, near magic number is 18 electron. That is why it will try to gain one electron from the available resources and it becomes Cl minus 1 with 17 positive charges and 18 negative charges. So this kind of ion is called as anion. That means an ion which has taken the electron from the available sources is called as anion. So, when the ions like cations and anions present together, sometimes they were attracted with each other and forms compounds. For example, let us take calcium. Calcium has 20 positive charges, 20 negative charges. It has 2 electrons excess towards the nearest magic electron number. That is why it tries to lose 2 electrons and forms calcium plus 2. This is called as calcium cation. For example, let us take the same chlorine. Chlorine has 17 positive charges, 17 negative charges. When it gains 1 electron, it becomes Cl minus 1. When these two charges come together and forms a compound, that compound formula can be written with a method called Kriss-Kras method, and the formula of the compound will be calcium chloride, CaCl2. Why we got the CaCl2? Because while we are writing the formula of any compound, we have to use the method Kriss-Kras method, that is the number present on first ion is written as, the superscript of first ion is written as subscript of second ion. The superscript of second ion is written as subscript of first ion. We have to exclude the charges. Only numbers has to be taken. Now it can be written as Ca1 Cl2. So no need of writing number 1 wherever it is present. That is why we can write it as CaCl2. So this is known as Kriss-Kras method, and we can write the formulas like this. So it is all about based on the valency of the charge present. This is also known as valency. Valency means combining capacity of an element. Okay. Now let us move forward to our summer project, that is explain about the discovery of subatomic particles present inside an atom and write the formulas of chemical compounds we can use in our daily life. Okay. So with this we conclude this session. We will discuss remaining topics in the next session. On this occasion, I thank our Honorable Secretary and the entire TSAT channel team for giving me this opportunity. Thank you very much.